number, and then I have, say, TT. So those invalid numbers, so it does not pass this stage so that it decrements. It only passes this stage when it's finishing, or when it gets a good input from the user. It's not a very, I wouldn't say everybody would want to do that. Suppose if I'm tired and if I just want to strictly give 5 chance and then say, sorry, you lost it. And maybe we don't want to have a while inside a while. It will just have an outer while loop, enter a number is digit, and then it will just take 3 numbers. But that's not what it wants, 5 numbers. And it wants to give the user the how many our chances to enter correct 5 number. And so it will be getting them, and then it will be just adding them to the string.
Minnie, so I think I get it, but I understand it better now. So the only way to like leave this while loop, the inner while loop, is if they get down to the bottom of the if, and they have the bad input as false. And that's why it's never leaving that loop to reach the counter until it escapes the loop in that way. Because when it hits else, it's just going back up to the while, and it's just just repeating. So like infinite looping there.
Because of this, because the flag is changing here. Yeah.
The while above it, right? See how the while above it says bad underscore input is equal to true? Is that why?
Bad underscore input is equal to true was the initialization, but the change of the flag is happening only here. So when it was inside this loop, if it was a correct valid number, the bad input became false.
Yeah. So it's because it's not anymore true. It's now false. It's gonna have one count on that while, right? Like one count is gonna go down. I think that makes more sense to me now.
Yeah. Okay. So we only finished the first part of the question, this one. The second part is not that hard. The second part is, so I have, when I'm doing this, I want you all to understand what all are we covering in this. In this, we are covering that we can have, have some methods. So we don't have to write a program if equal to and all that, because it's already giving me a direct method and to check if it is a digit or no. Okay, it's giving you a method, and so we have used that. This portion we already know, but this is new to us for strings. And then what else? It is flags and whiles are known to us. Now I want you to address this, add 1 to all the numbers and print it. So when I want to add 1, I can do it with the while loop. I will have, say, I want to run for every element in the string. What is my string? The string is string accumulator. So for every number which is already in the string, I want to add 1. So of course it will be a loop and a condition inside the loop. So you want to be running the number and you want to be printing it out with the same comma and things like that. But how many times you want to print and how many times you want to run. So I have a string. Now, I don't know what would be the length in this case, because we already have the counter set to 5. Good enough. I know it is going to be 5, but otherwise, what would be the general way of checking what is the length of the string? How can I write a check? Because I want to write on every element. I want to add on every element +1. So what would be the general way of checking? Okay, for the string, what is the length of the string? How do I check? Can I use a ready-made method, or should I give from less than or equal to 5 or less than or equal to 6? Because in this case, I know the length. Or do I have a more generic way of check? Last week we did that.
Len.
Very good. So what is a len? What is a check? You want to check something that is going to run how long till the length of the string accumulator. Again, in this case, it's obvious, but I want to be, so in this case, I could put less than or equal to 5 or 6, but I want to run it for a more generic, so I can put length. Now, what is the check? What do you want? What is the condition? What is less than string accumulator? So you want to be having a end and a beginning, and you want to be checking on that range. For example, I want to be adding on every element 1, right? So the first element, that is 0 in this case, and that should be added with 1. The second element, which is 1, should be added with 1, and the third element. So for sure, I should have a start and a stop. And for in the start and the stop, I should say, okay, between the start and the stop, add, sum it up, just add it up. So how do we do it? If this part is this part, is this part a little tough for you all?
Little bit.
A little bit. What did he? Somebody else said ask something. What are you asking? I didn't understand that. Yeah, is this portion, the second portion, a little bit tough? So it will go into details of loop inside the loop. I'm just doing this part because I want to give you a feel of the assignment for how to address one inside the other. So it's not directly going to the McDonald, which I cannot, but just giving you a feel of how to do nested things, where, so giving you some more, so it's going to be a little bit tough, but I'll try my best to explain it to you. So what is it going to be? It's adding 1 to all the numbers and print. So I want to have a start, I want to have a stop, and I want to add. So I want to have a string, which is a sum. So I cannot just put on this. This is a basic string, which is giving me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to make a new string, which will be a sum string, which will be having the new numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The old one is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The new is added 1. So I have to make something, make a provision for that. And then I will just empty it or declare it with empty. And then I am writing while. Now, till when do I want to run? Till the end, right? Till the end of the string. So I will have a string which is having a starting and a ending, stopping. Until the end of the string, I want to keep on repeating every element, Okay, I want to be going on checking till if it is ending or stop when length is less than or equal to, and then what? What is the check? So I want to be adding something, but I want to be adding what?
The user inputs.
I want to be adding 1 on the user inputs, right? Where is the user input now saved and stored? It's already printed out and it's saved and stored in string accumulator. Now I'm going to be adding on top of that. So I want to be adding what? I want to be adding, say, let me remove this for now, and we will put that condition later. I'll put that empty. But what I want to be adding is, I want to be saying, say, string is equal to, for every element in the string, which is going from start till stop. And then I want to just add for every element in the string. So I will have a string, maybe a total or a number, which will go from start to stop. And in this, I want to be saying.
So Minnie, how come we have start and stop is equal to 0 just above, but like we know that we're not going to just be looking at the 0 index position, or did I misunderstand?
So one of them should increment, right?
Well, we haven't done that yet, but you're saying that, okay, so we're going to do that in a moment.
Mhm. The loop is not ended. So whenever we have a while, the last code of that while loop is the increment.
Okay.
So it's not complete, yeah. So I will have the string. So now I'm going to add, I'm going to just say string sum is equal to what I'm going to add. I'm going to add the string sum plus 1. Okay, will this work?
No, you're still missing part of the if statement, I think.
Mhm.
And then you also have to increment stop.
Yes. So I have to have, first of all, I have missing the comma, which has to be there because again, I want it to be separated by comma. And that is one part. And then I have missing the terminating condition of the while. So what do I can't, can you see this? No, it will not run. This is not, oh, this one? Okay. Did you decrement this one, this line? That means it's not hitting the termination, right? It's just going inside and inside and inside. It's not coming outside this if loop. So is there this line? Is there this line set properly inside the if, like indented inside the if? Okay, I'll have to see your code then. Let me just finish this and you can share your code and we can look at that. How anybody has problem with the first part? For this part till here?
No, just for
Okay.
the while loop where the if isn't finished is where I'm getting the error.
Oh, yeah. You cannot run it because it's not done. So I'm just going to finish it. So I have the string sum is equal to start and stop, and then we are going to add 1, and then we are going to be saying again string sum because I want the little plus. And then I'm going to say stop. So what is now I have to put an increment. So we have the start and the stop, the both we have put 0. So when we start with 0, we want to be incrementing it till the end of the loop. So you'll have, and then you will have the so if it is, so I have a while loop, I have a if condition, which I have to still put. And if that condition is met, that means if it is a number, I want to be adding everything by 1. Else I want to just stop, go and increment the stop by 1. In either case, whether it is fulfilling the condition that it's a number or not, I want to keep on incrementing by 1. So I have an increment here in both cases, and then I will be printing it out. Printing what out? The new. The new, I am calling it as sum, because that is where I'm going to be adding on. This is where all the summing is going on. So what is the condition that I want to check? So I want to check the condition that if the string accumulator, I want to check validity, that's it. So if the string accumulator stop, let me say, okay. So what do I have? I have a while loop which is complete now. Is the while loop complete? Is the while loop complete in both the cases? What is the beginning of the while loop? The while loop is starting having a condition that until the last element is less than the length of the string. Now in this, I'm having a check. I'm checking that if it is a valid entry, you just want to add the string, and you have already declared a new sum string, and in that new sum string, you want to be adding from start to stop. Every time you are having an element, you want to be adding number 1. And then otherwise you want to be saying, okay, if this is not the condition satisfied, still you want to be going and incrementing the counter and repeating it. So the check is done. And in this check, every time you hit a number, only then you want to be adding +1. That means when there is a comma, you don't want to be adding anything. You want to be adding +1 only on the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not on any other element. And then you will be going on, and then you will end the loop, and then you will print it out. So here, this one, this statement, what does this statement do? This statement.
It's printing, or it's pulling that range from the string underscore AC.
So it's pulling a range from the old string, right? The string or the new string, which one?
It's pulling from the old one.
Yeah. So it's pulling a range from the old string, that is string accumulator. So we have two strings now. The string accumulator, I have to write this.
Just another quick question. So on that if statement line, you have like not the regular quote with like two little, whatever you call them.
It can be either. Yeah, it can be either.
They both work the same way?
Yeah, they both work the same. It's in the first page of your PowerPoint slide. They both work the same. Okay, so if you run this, what are you getting?
An error about str underscore, where is it? Str underscore sum plus 1 is not it must be an integer. Or sorry, it must be a string, not an integer, is the error I'm getting.
So this one, this line, right? Yeah. Is the logic wrong here? Is the logic wrong? Or is the syntax wrong? I wanted that. So this one, so remember this kind of questions would be on your test for multiple choice. What is the mistake here? What is str sum? Is it a string or is it an integer?
It's a
Oh.
string, so you have to convert it to an integer, then add one.
Yes. So it's a string. What will happen when you are adding an integer to a string? Cannot do that. They are two different data types, right? So you can you can use a plus with two strings. It will just join them together. You can use a plus with two numbers. They will add them together. But if you're using a plus with one string and one integer, what does Python do? It will spit out an error, right? So what do you want to do? You want to be converting it to a integer. And what do you want to be converting into an integer?
String underscore sum.
So I have the string. So I want to tell Python that this string is going to be plus. So it's going to be a string, but it's going to be a string which is going to add two numbers. And then the answer of that will be, so I have to declare something called as a number. So I have to declare something called as a number. And I will say, yeah, here I can say, okay. Now try it out. So what I am doing is I'm adding some string with, so this is already a string and this is going to be a string, but within that I'm doing a integer sum. Anyone who has tried?
I got another error.
That happens to mine too.
Which one?
Like the second part of the program doesn't run for me either.
You have to increment the start too, because right now, like in that the line right after the first if statement, if it's looking at that particular range, won't it be so it's 0 0 initially, then 0 1, then 0 2. So it's looking at that entire range rather than just one index value at a time.
Actually, we wanted it to only have looking at the commas. We'd want it to be this one, this is to find a number, right? We don't want to be adding on a comma. So here, if it is having if string accumulator, which is my old string, is top is equal to a comma, then what do I want? If it is equal to a comma, then what do I want to do in that? It's finding a number or not finding a number. So you have in this string, you have numbers and you have commas. You want to find the number and you want to then on that number, you want to make the start and the stop and then add on. So what do you have inside that? It says string sum is equal to string sum value invalid literal for integer. So here with base 10, 0 and 1. So I don't have an integer here. Or string sum. Okay. Okay, so here, okay, let me just explain this part again. So this is the part for the second one, and I'm going to just explain every step of it. What do we have? The first part was just to print out 0 or whatever the number the user enters with a comma separation. And this gave the user infinite number of entries till it got 5 valid inputs. Fine. Now the second part is to add on to every valid input number 1 and just print them out. So the result will be like this. So what do we have? For sure, we want to have a start and a stop. Till when should it run, or till when should it keep on adding? So there is a outer while loop. And inside this outer while loop, there is an if statement. So when you have an if statement, you will for sure, this ideally should be here so that it's clear. No change. If your program is already running, just to make it look good. So when you are in the while loop, you should have a counter. I have initialized a counter, which is a start and a stop. Start is a redundant. You can just start with 0, and stop is required. So I am having a stop counter. And if I have this condition satisfied, the stop is increment. If I don't have this satisfied, also stop is incremented, so that this while loop will run for 5 times. Now, when you have for the valid number of times, till it get the valid number of numbers. So there are 5 numbers in this case. This is left open. I can have it going to the length. In this case, we have 5 numbers, but if the user tries to change here, I is equal to 10, then I don't have to come here and change. That is why this is a good way of putting in the end or the terminating condition. Now inside this is a condition. I'm just finding a number, and for each number, this was the catch. For each number, I want to be adding 1, but now the problem is 1 has to be added to, and the addition which is to be done is to be done on the integer. So there is this conversion which is done. Every element in my string, from the first element to the last without the commas, is going to be having is going to be collected in string number, and 1 is going to be added on to that. So 1 is already an integer. It doesn't need an explicit definition, but string number is not an integer. It's a string, and therefore every element of that, which is a number now taken out, is going to be added, and then it is going to be stored on string sum. Now, this is not how I want to give the output. Now at here, if you will print the sum, if you will put a print statement here, you will see that it is just going to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without the commas. So just for the sake of looking at how it wants to see, you want to be printing it out with the comma. So you're adding a comma, and then you are just incrementing the counter, and then you are printing it out, in any case outside the loop. So if you will print the string sum here, you will, it's annoying, but it will be showing you all the iterations. without the comma, but the addition, but you will also see that at the end, you are going to be printing out in one line with the commas and as though it's a string. The addition is done as though it's a number, but then the numbers are going to be stored as a string again, because string sum is defined as a string. So there are a lot of, that is why I was telling this is going to be a little bit tricky part, but I would want you to get this. So there is two types of conversions happening here. First thing is I'm declaring a string. This is a string. And then in that string, inside that string, I'm making an integer sum, but then storing it back as a string. And therefore I have declared another variable or string called as number, because I'm just picking the numbers and then I'm adding on the number, not adding on to the string. I'm adding only the values and then I'm just storing it in the string and then I'm printing it out every time. So if you will run this, there is the error. So do you guys get this error or are you getting the answers?
I'm getting that error too.
This one?
I'm not getting it. The error.
You're not?
Nope.
So it ran the first time and we got this. So what change did we make? So traceback error is in string 1. Okay, so I have the string. 1 is added to string num, and string num is going from, it shouldn't be getting that. So I have the string and I have it going from equal is equal to okay, and then I'm collecting all the numbers in the string num. Shouldn't be getting that. Okay. Okay, because I was putting in the condition after the incrementation. So it should increment first and then I should have a condition which is start is equal to stop. So when I am going from 0 to the length of the string, I have to increment it first here and then say until start is equal to stop. So if I put start is equal to stop before that, then it's going to terminate without a correct value. So I have to put that after incrementing the stop. So the stop will keep on increasing till the length of the string. And then I am saying, okay, once you have incremented it, then put the stop in the start. So every time it's going to run for that many number of times. So if I start with 0 till 5, then next time it will go from 1 to 5 and then next time. So every time it's going to be the stop value is going to be come to the start. So you don't want to be keeping on adding, right? You want to be adding the first one and then checking the second and then adding 1 to the second and then checking the third and adding 1 to the third and so on. So that is why This has to be after. Okay.
If I have a question.
Yeah.
You know the if string, the old, you know that one, the if part, the if statement. Why is it equal to comma and not equal to comma?
Why is it equal to comma?
Yeah, why is it instead of not equal?
So whenever it's a comma, I am taking it. So I have a start and a stop to accumulate the numbers, right? So this is my number which I'm collecting from the string which has number and strings. I'm picking out only the numbered ones. So I'm dropping off what is not the number. So if string accumulator, whatever is the index, is a comma, then what I'm doing is I'm going to be having another string, a string num. This is the integer string, the string with numbers, which will have the start and the stop, which is going from 0 to stop, but without the comma ones.
Wouldn't it be the comma?
Would it what?
Wouldn't it be the comma that you're selecting? Because it's equal to a comma?
No, but the condition is on the old string. Look at the next string. What am I collecting? I'm collecting start and stop. That is why we have the indexes set here. I have start and stop. And how are these changing? This is going to be incrementing based on whether I have a number or not a number. So if I have a number and if I don't have a number, this is going to change. And that is what these two indexes are going to change here for every iteration. So for example, let me do this. So for example, if you had, now we cannot have a first comma to show you because our number, it would start with the first number. So when it came inside the loop, it will have a 0. When
Yeah.
it is a 0, and then my string number will take in the start value, which is equal to the stop value, which is 0 now. Then after that, it will take the stop value. So when it will increment after the addition. So this index is incrementing only after the addition, right?
But isn't the condition if it's a comma, then it will start the whatever, the if. I'm really confused.
Is it the condition?
But isn't it says if it's a comma, then it starts putting in. I understand like putting in the numbers into the string and adding it.
Yeah.
But the if statement says if the old string is a comma, then it starts adding the number, which doesn't make sense.
No. If the whole string is a comma, if the element in the string is a comma,
Yeah.
then
The element in the string is a comma, then it starts adding in the numbers.
It's not adding right away. Adding happens here. So what happens is when it's a comma, it's collecting the start and the stop index of the string. So this is a new string. This is not sum. This is a num. If you got that part right. The addition is done on the numbered string. So I'm collecting the number. So what I have, if this is a comma, so how does it increment? It will have a start value, but it will be the start value and the stop value is going to change. So for the first one, it will be having 0 to 1, right? This is index 0.
I think I'm on the same page as him. So everything after the if statement makes sense. It's just the if statement itself, because it seems like what that's saying is if it's equal to a comma, so what you're looking at is a comma, go do all these things. Or shouldn't it be if it's not equal to a comma, which would mean a number, then do these things? That's where I think the
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Todd.
Okay, let me show that.
That's what I'm trying to say.
This is what you meant?
That's what I meant to say.
Okay, let me show that. So when you are saying equal and condition not equal, right? So what is happening here is it is never going to be.
No, Ajit, your microphone's on.
Yeah,
Very
bro,
noisy.
you gotta mute your mic.
what is happening is it's never going to be coming to this condition of start is equal to stop, because what so the thing is, what you guys are confusing is the element itself. The element is not what is added. The index is what we are collecting here. So here I'm collecting a new numbered string with the indexed value, which changes based on this. The indexed value is 0 for first one, then the index value. So it's not checking, is it equal to the value and then take that value? No, it's taking the index of the value. So if I'm taking the string number, and the string number has all the values having indexes from start to stop, and this index has the value of whatever the string is. So it's like having a string of index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 in this case, and 0th index has a value 1. 1 index has a value 2. 3 index has a value 3, and so on. But now what has happened after adding the comma, I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 0th has index has a value, say 0. First index has a value comma. So when I am taking the indexed value, I am only collecting the index of the conditional check. So this is what you want to make sure, because if you look at it right away, it's already a number. It will not make any sense to you. But come down here. When you come here, when is the addition happening? The addition is happening on the first number. Fine. And then after that, what happened to the index? The index has changed from stop to stop plus 1, and the index, what is start, is now assigned stop. So where is it going to? Which index?
So it's on 1 right now?
So it's already, it was on 0th index, 0 plus 1, and so it's on the first index. So for me, the start having index 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the start is having an index 1, and the stop is going to be whatever is the length of the string, and so on. So here it's not checking on the value. That is where you're confusing. It's checking on the value at the stop index. That is what is making the confusion. So if you're going to be putting a not equal to, that means you're checking the value. If you are checking on the exact value of that, but I'm checking on the, okay, what is the value on this index? Is that value on that index equal to whatever? Okay.
I think I kind of get it.
Okay. Okay, so this is what you should be getting, kind of. If you're getting this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, as the, if you're entering these numbers, this is what you should be getting. And it's the second part is a little bit tricky, this part. And so I just want to let you know, like, it's a little bit more level of understanding. But if you got the first part, pretty much you have a basic idea of all that is going to be mostly asked in strings. So this part is what I thought I would avoid, but it's okay. Okay.
Thank you, Manny, for explaining.
So I'm going to be doing, we're going to do 2 more questions today. We are at 11. But I will keep this for the end because we have already done something like uppercase every other case, but this is using a different function. I'll come to it, but I want to do a more interesting one, which is called as write a Python program to validate a password. So if we finish this, we will go back to the first one. Otherwise, we'll take up that later in Tuesday class. So what we are going to do is we are going to write a Python program to validate a password. This is one of the most famous kind of programming problems. The password should have at least one uppercase. So here we will, I am giving you a hint. at least one uppercase. So this is a check for uppercase. Is there an uppercase? And you can directly use a method which is existing to check an uppercase. It should have just one lowercase, at least one lowercase. So if there is no lowercase, that means the password is weak and it will say there is no lowercase. So it should have at least one lowercase. It should have at least one digit, and it should have only alphanumeric characters, no special characters, no space or no other special characters. And it should be at least length of 10 characters. So all of each one of them is a check. And for each check, you have ready-made built-in methods. So if you will go up, I want you to go use one of these methods. I know you don't have the slide, but each check is a method. So if I am keeping this slide open to you, and I will copy the question onto the Python shell. So you will have this. This is pretty much what you are going to be using for most of the checks here. So I'm going to be copying the question onto the Python shell, and I'm going to keep this open for you. Okay. And I want to give you maybe 3 to 5 minutes, just think. So you write a Python program to validate a password. So for sure it will come from the user. It's not explicitly mentioned, but it will come from the user because there is no other way to check the password. In this case, we have not provided you with a password. The password should have at least one uppercase, one lowercase, one digit, and alphanumeric. It should be only alphanumeric, and it should not be any special character. So most of it is here. The digit part, we just use the is digit, just giving you a hint. We use the is digit here. You can use the same thing for that one. Otherwise, all other methods are here. Okay. So first line would be just taking the input from the user, then checking every time the user is entering, is the password having an uppercase, is the password having a lowercase. So first would be taking the password and then checking the password. Let me just have. Okay, let me just write a well, sorry, guys, I'm just going to maybe write a module to validate. So it becomes similar to your homeworks, which you have seen, to validate password. And this is the condition. So if you want to, you can then call that module. So it's called as, because validation of password, you will use it many times in your program. So you don't want to write everything in a main program. In the main program, you're just going to call the validate password module. So if you have a password, and if you want to be validating that password, these are all the conditions you want to validate. So this has two parts. What is the first part? The module. And then you will have the main code. Okay. Now when I have a module, that means I should have a def. And when I have a def, I will call this as, say, validate password. Okay. Now, I'm saying that this module should be validating the password. Okay, fine. I've not given anything explicitly that the module should have how many parameters. But what do you think that the module will have or can have? It can be empty like this, or it can pass an argument, or it can pass a parameter from the main. So we'll try both, but let's have a clear idea that we will have a module, we will have a main, and in the main, we will call the module. Okay, so in the main, I'm just going to have print whatever is the name of my module. That's my call, that's all. Okay. That means I will have a module, and for sure I will have a return to that. So because that is what is going to be printed. So when I have a module, I have no arguments. That means something has to come from the user, and all the entry which has to be made will be made within the module. So I will have all my input statements. So let me just say password. What do you have? The first one, you want to get the input, right? What do you have? The first one will be getting the input, or will it be something else?
I have mine set to just password equals input. Please enter your password. So it's just to get the password from the user.
Okay. And if suppose the password does not enter the correct thing at the first time, so should it give an option? And if it should, then in that case, should it be in a loop? And if it should be in a loop, in that case, before the password enter, would we have something else? Are you getting this? So if I have, say, if I have something which the user is not entered the correct, so should we give the user a chance? Should we have a flag or something set up that now if the flag is not true, the user will keep on continuing. Otherwise it will, okay, if the user entered the correct password, it will just print out, or will it give an option? So maybe if we want to put an option, like if we want to give multiple entries to the user, which mostly, because when we make an account, for example, it does not just terminate in one attempt, right? If we did not get it correctly first time, then it will give you say enter, it does not have a small letter, or it is having some extra character or something like that. It gives you a message and allows you to do it again. So you want to be having that provision made in your while loop. So in your while loop, in that while loop, you want to be having the entry. Okay, fine. So this will be indented. And then I'm taking the input. So in the input for me is a password, and I'm saying the first check. What is the first check? If it is at least having one uppercase, if it has one lowercase, it has one digit, and it has 10 characters, and it is no special character. So let's take it one by one. So what is the first one? So if it is having at least one uppercase, so if I entered, say, mini, all small, now what would it check first for uppercase? You remember last time we did how to check in a string?
Oh, you're going to be putting is upper somewhere in there?
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Very good. So how do we put that?
Like, would you put password first and then is upper after, like with a period after it?
Is so I want to have an element check, right? I want to have an element check. So I want to check that I want to check for every value in that element, is that how do you use a upper or a lower? I want to have,
If not is upper and then in brackets password.
yes. So I want to have a string dot. So that one has to be there. So if I have maybe, I can put maybe anything is, say I, and then I will say I dot, what is the name of the method? It's is upper. So it looks like supper, but it's is upper. And then I will have this. Okay, so if there is no upper, what do I want to spit out or print? At least one. So I'm looking for if there is any uppercase, because it's not. Yeah. Okay. So I will be printing. So what would be the best way of doing this? If I am checking, if does it have a uppercase in the string password? And if it does not have, then I want to say your password needs a uppercase. Okay. Now I want to be, I can print it out every time for every check, like, or I can just have all the errors collected in one string, but let's just make it simple. I'm just going to say print.
Mini,
Come back again, one of you. For the error, right? For this one? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is true. I was thinking you want to have a comprehensive list for all the errors. Yeah. Okay, but that gave me an idea. Can we have a comprehensive list for all the errors that can be done? Just going to put maybe here, just an idea, don't have to use it. I can do that. And I'll tell you, we will append or we will modify our code later for that. But every time I'm going to be checking this. So this is the first check. And then I have the second check. The second check will be, what is the second check going to be? Maybe is lower, and is lower is,
shouldn't there be a space between in and password? Right, but down, yeah, there and down.
thank you. Okay, so keep filling this for all the conditions. So upper, lower, and digit. Digit in this PowerPoint, you don't see a digit one. There is a decimal one. You don't see a digit one, but there is a method which we use in our previous program, which is digit. So is digit. And for the length, how would you check for? So this is clear: uppercase, lowercase, digit, alphanumeric. That means I don't want any space or anything extra. So how would you check that? which method of this will you use?
You could use if alpha.
Is alpha, and then for the length, you will just use the length. It's less than or equal to whatever length you have decided to be.